like you lost another one.
Welcome to Summer Showcase, your one-stop shop for everything ELF related. I'm Michael Washington. He's Randy Schrader. I'm battling allergies, so if y'all have issues, I sound like I'm super congested. That would be why. Something about the fall, man, kills me. After a week off because Randy had something to do with his job, we are back here this week as week 12 just wrapped up, right? Heading into week 13, the final week of the season. So tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. Instead of breaking down every game, basically the playoffs are essentially wrapped up except for one spot, realistically speaking. So we'll talk about the important games that took place. I'll run through real quick. The Raiders T-Roll beat Milano 30-0. Vienna beat VRFR 46-0. Munich beat Helvetic 38-13, which I'm sure Jamal was not too happy about. The Panthers whooped on Frankfurt 54-19, which I think surprised everybody. Jamal is with us tonight. Jamal, welcome back, my man, my unofficial producer. I know that he was a little confused as to what happened last week. I forgot to send a message out. Stuttgart dumped on Barcelona 56-0. That was actually a little surprising. I expected them to rack up the score because of Munich. But, whatever. And then the Rhine Fire beat Berlin 47-14. So that basically covers almost all the games. There's two games that I didn't mention that I did want to talk about. We'll talk about the one that's not so important first. The Cologne Centaurans defeating the Hamburg Sea Devils 30-27. Primarily I want to talk about this game, Randy, because this Cologne team is a team that you and I have talked about all year long as being one of those tough outs in Isaiah Weed's development over the course of the year and how much better he's gotten. Right? Like, that's just what we've discussed and talked about. Do you think Isaiah's done enough to come back to this team next year?
I hope so. Just my feeling, being a former American quarterback in the league, is teams are so quick to move on. So hats off to hats off to the Cologne Centurions. I'm laughing because Jamal talking about the push-ups. Yeah, for those who don't know, I took a bad bet and Jamal beat me fair and square, and then I double or nothinged it basically, and that didn't work out. So I sent him a video of me doing push-ups with my daughter as well. So good times. I think I had 4 million push-ups, but I'm here to live the tale. So, but yeah, it's impressive to me when a team who isn't having who doesn't have a realistic shot at the playoffs keeps their quarterback, their American quarterback. How many teams have done that this season? And I would love to see. There's so many things you need. There's two main things that you need in order to be a good team in this league. Three, if you include ownership, but we'll stick with on the field. You need consistent coaching, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and you need consistent stability at quarterback. And I would love to see Cologne build on what they've done on the offensive side of the ball this year, put some more pieces around Isaiah Weed and let him really kind of take the reins for next year. That's what I would love to see. I feel like he's done enough to prove that he belongs in this league.
Well, I mean, the other reason why I wanted to bring this up is because Cologne, after a rough start, actually turned the season around. They're at 5-6 right now, right? Like that. So they kept Isaiah Weed through a process when they weren't going to be in the playoffs. He's still there as a starting quarterback. They're behind him, and he's winning games and playing really, really well. It just I think the biggest question then comes down to whether or not Cologne would or views Weed as a championship caliber quarterback or a quarterback that can compete for a championship, right? Mm-hmm. That's ultimately what it boils down to there from that standpoint. But I think he's played well enough to earn that right. If you can get the pieces around him, maybe steal a piece from Ryan, maybe steal a piece. I mean, from a piece from Berlin, or a piece from any of the other German teams around there that may not be getting playing time, that has some talent. Maybe I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
bringing a higher caliber wide receiver, an American side, maybe. I don't know. Just
Yeah, I
thought.
mean, I think Jamal's question is legitimate if I look at it in the big picture is, I mean, how many quarterbacks in the league would you take over him right now?
Right.
Uh, Warclaw fans would love to have Isaiah Weed. Probably, and I know that Helvetic has dealt with some injuries. They'd probably love to have him. Milano, Barcelona, um, uh, Farivar. So, so there's a lot of teams that I think would love to have put him on. How would he do on Hamburg? So he's
Right.
definitely, at least I would say, the top half of the league as far as quarterback play for sure. Now, is that good enough to get him a job next year? I don't know, but I would be very surprised if Cologne didn't bring him back if he didn't end up on another team.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Jamal, yes, I would take him in Warclaw, and I would only take him in Warclaw because that team is built and is proven with Josiah Norwood at the quarterback the last few weeks, that they don't need uh, a big armed guy, right? They don't need a risk taker. They need a guy who can do a little bit of everything really well because they run the ball so good, right? Like that's basically what it's boiled down to. And Isaiah has that big play ability. We saw it in Hamburg, but at the same time, he's also very much a guy who plays within his system. So I feel like if they were able to bring him in and he was able to learn what Warclaw does, and he adds a rushing element that they really haven't had. Look at how well it's worked for Norwood. Um, I would absolutely love to have Weed in a Warclaw uniform next year. So if he didn't come back to Cologne, I'm hoping maybe the Panthers are paying attention and maybe extend an offer out to him there as well. So,
Yeah.
all right, the big game: the Madrid Bravos and the Paris Musketeers in Paris's first home game in 5 weeks. Surprisingly, went 4-0 in that four straight run there. Uh, come back from behind victory in this game for Paris. However, 15-12. Not pretty. Not pretty. Are you still off this Paris being a potential contender? Because again, this was like their identity was Zach Edwards through this thing. So
Yeah, Paris is not in my mind right now, is not a championship contender. I think that they've played well enough, obviously, to make the playoffs, and maybe who knows? Once you get to the dance, we'll see what happens. But to me, there's so much going on, and this game was a crazy one. There was everything you wanted. It was like UFC with all the fights meets football, right? Meets some bad kicking that then turns into good kicking. It just it was all over the place, and it was entertaining. But I think there's a couple big takeaways from Paris. Is one, the penalties are they're they're unsustainable if you're playing against a team like Stuttgart, Rhine, or Vienna, and even maybe Tyrol, with how I feel like they're so buttoned up most of the time. So that to me was a huge concern. The other concern is just, and I know the weather was bad, but the lack of offensive output was is concerning, especially considering the fact that they were down by 6 with a minute, 3 minutes left in the game when they got the ball, 2.5 minutes, and Zach Edwards won them that game. I mean, that play of him dragging 3 guys into the end zone, that's kind of the picture for their entire season, right? Go Zach, go win us the game. And I just don't know if that works in the playoffs. Now, on the flip side, Madrid, I was super impressed with their defense for about 58 minutes of that game. I know you were saying that too, Michael, how much you hate the prevent, and I'm sure you'll talk on that. But they had a great plan And I was talking with someone on the Madrid staff after the game, and just how well they were playing on defense. They came out in a bear front, which is 5 down linemen, which they hadn't shown almost all season. They brought 6 guys almost. They brought them often. They brought pressure often, and they really kept Zach Edwards contained, and they really kind of stifled that Paris run game. Great plan on defense. Wonderful, wonderful plan. But um, when it mattered, and I'll let you run with this, they got out of it. So, what are your thoughts on the end of that game?
Oh man, I could go on forever. First and foremost, Jamal, he's a defensive guy, if my memory holds serve. I got to tell you, I don't know how your feelings are on it, Jamal. Randy knows mine very clearly. I absolutely hate the prevent defense. I think the prevent defense is one of the worst defensive schemes on any level. Even if you're a team that can do it well, it is a absolute nightmare, and it's so inviting to give a guy, any quarterback that has any sense of what they're facing in front of them, in out. When you said Madrid loses this game more than Paris wins it, I completely agree with you, and I think that's because they got away from what got them to where they were. They were up 12-6 and completely in control of this game because of the way that they were playing defense. And yet, when it counted, they decided to do this soft shell zone prevent crap. Zach Edwards ran right up the gut untouched for, I don't know, 19 yards. And then he gets met at the 5-yard line with 3 guys. I don't care. The only thing that probably would have stopped Zach Edwards from scoring that touchdown in that play is the Incredible fucking Hulk. Honestly, it was awful. It was so bad. And the whole time I'm sitting there, I messaged Randy and I was just like, I hate the prevent defense because that's what killed it. That's absolutely what killed it. Why do you get away from what was winning you the game? Why change it? I understand you don't want to give up the big play, but Paris had proven numerous times that they didn't have a big play ability. You held them to 6 points. You know what I mean? Like, why?
And I think from a schematic standpoint too, Fernandez, who is a great defensive end, when you play that type of defense, you play a bear front, you bring 6 to you bring +1 with a bear front, you are getting your defensive lineman and Fernandez, who's great, one-on-one on somebody. And so
Yeah.
they were killing them all game with that. And then honestly, speaking with, like I said, someone on the coaching staff, they didn't love the call there, the roughing the passer call on that last drive that Fernandez got. He said he didn't really touch him, which we couldn't see. They didn't replay it. I wish they did. As soon as I saw a flag in the backfield, I knew it was roughing the passer, but they never showed it, so I didn't get to see how much he hit him. But that killed him too. So it was just, but the reffing was crazy in this game. It was just a crazy game. Missed extra point, goes to overtime. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see, especially in the situation that you're in, where I think it was 2.5 or 3 minutes. So, okay, you go out there and you play the same type of defense, and Paris kind of gets lucky and gets one on you. Guess what? Like, you're going to get the ball back with some time and timeouts left. There's plenty of time. I understand playing prevent when there's 50 seconds left and they got to go 80 yards. But I mean, that's too much time. You got to stay in kind of your regular base defense that you practiced all week leading up to that to contain Zach Edwards.
I'm just not a fan of it because it takes away your pressure on the front side of things. Unless you have like a Kyle Kitchens or a certain individual that is going to beat double team on a pretty consistent basis, you're not going to get pressure on a quarterback. And I feel like if you're Zach Edwards, he's a level of quarterback that you want to get pressure on because you don't want him to be comfortable back there. He's so quick at reading the field, especially in what he's done with the ELF and what he's shown with Paris. It really doesn't make much sense to allow a guy to sit back there and do that, right? Like, yeah, the roughing the passer, penalty might have been a little suspect because it may not have been, as big of a deal. It still doesn't change the fact that you can't put yourself in those situations. right? Like you can't do something along those lines that go, we're going to make it so there's a questionable call. Maybe the ref should throw the penalty flag, right? Because you don't have the challenge on those,
Yeah,
right?
there was no reason to do it either. I mean, from a
Right,
defensive lineman standpoint, I never played D line, so maybe I'm wrong here. But the quarterback is extending the play, gets outside the pocket, gets close to the sideline, and kind of chucks it up. You know he's throwing it away on that play, or at least it's not close. Why are you even touching him?
right.
That's you got to stay away. And so yeah, that was questionable. But I just go back to um, there's kind of a point where prevent makes sense. But if you got to kind of do the calculation in your head of how many plays and how much time there is. You had plenty, as Madrid, plenty of time to stay kind of aggressive there with 2.5, 3 minutes left when Paris had the ball. I mean, how many yards was the ball in the air for on an average completion on that last drive? Like 4? I
Yeah, it
feel
was
like
like
it
three
was
or
like
four. Yeah.
hitch, slant, shallow,
Yep.
hitch, slant, shallow, and it got him all the way down the field. And it's like if you're playing, you got to keep your bare front, bring 5 or 6 guys, make that ball come out quick, and hope that you rally and tackle. And once they get you know inside your own territory and it didn't work for the first 40 yards, then maybe switch it up. But I'm with you, man. I don't love playing prevent or that kind of like base shell cover 4 that they played, only rushing 4 the entire
Yeah.
drive.
It doesn't. I just don't ever think it really does any good. I mean, it really. I, I don't know how else to really explain it. I understand that there is a time and place for that, and it's good to have, obviously in your arsenal for various reasons. However, it just feels like when you're playing against playoff caliber teams, because Paris clinched, so that they're a playoff caliber team. Um, it's not a defense that you want to rely on with 2-3 minutes left when you're only up by 6, right?
Yeah.
Stick to what you know. Like if you're worried about them going over the top, they haven't done that yet. Just sit in your cover 2, but show a 5-man front and blitz, or blitz from a different angle, or find a way to get your Iceman Fernandez open, like find a way to get him one-on-one with somebody that he can beat, type of situation, and let your defense do the talking, because Edwards was uncomfortable the entire game until that last drive, really. Even on
Yeah.
the rollout, I believe was a pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it was a prevent. I think it was the only play on the defensive side that wasn't prevent. It feels like that they did that. The passing call, the ref and the passer penalty happened, and then they decided to jump into this prevent once they crossed midfield. And I think that was the wrong time to do that, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't love it either. And I do go back to something that you've been saying all year, which is um, that there's something that happens to the Madrid offense when they start playing good teams. Because in all reality, we can sit here and bash the last 3 minutes of the game. But
Yeah,
if you're only allowing Paris to score 6 points in the first 57, 8 minutes of the game, you should win that game. Uh,
easily.
like Jamal said, they lost. Madrid lost that game. And again, I know the weather was bad, but you take away. I mean, they had a touchdown. They had a 60-something yard touchdown. I can go look at
Hmm.
the box score, but you take away that one big explosive play from Madrid, and it was tough sledding on offense. But you gotta have a better showing in such a big game as that on offense for Madrid.
It's the Stephen Duncan effect this year. I hate to keep harping on it, because I think Duncan's very much a capable quarterback in this league, and I think he's definitely a starting caliber quarterback in this league. But it feels like, whether it was with Warclaw or whether it was with Madrid, every time he got near a top team in this league, he kind of disappears. It's almost like he puts too much pressure on himself. So it kind of makes you wonder if this Madrid team does get into the playoffs, because there's still an outside chance they can get in.
What's the
Uh,
scenario? Somebody
so
has to lose, right?
so the scenario is
Munich
Munich and the
needs to win.
Raiders T roll play each other this week. If Munich beats the Raiders T roll and Madrid beats Hamburg in Hamburg, Madrid gets in. That's
And
the
I
only
think Madrid has to win by 2 or more points, I think, as well.
So right now, as it sits, Madrid has 348 points, and the Raiders T-roll have 356 points. So Madrid would actually have to win on a plus 8 or plus 9.
Madrid needs to win by 9.
Madrid needs to beat the score of the Raiders by 9 if the Raiders lose.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if the Raiders score 20, Madrid has to score at least 29 to get in, because the points forward is the tiebreaker, right? So that's the only way that they can do it. They have to win plus 9 over what the Raiders were, but they have to have the Raiders lose to Munich. Because if Munich loses, they're not even close. Munich has like 100-point lead on them. So.
And I wonder, I'm trying to see when I know that the T-roll Munich game is Sunday. Okay, so we'll know if Madrid won that Hamburg game by the time that kickoff is for T-roll Munich the next day.
Yeah, because they're the last game of the weekend. And yes, I agree with you, Jamal. I mean, I don't see a world where the Ravens are not in the playoffs. So, but
so if
Madrid,
Munich loses, they're in.
Yeah, because even if Madrid wins, they have the exact same record, but they own like a 100 and some odd point lead on them. Munich has 504 points for. Like,
okay. So even if they lose, so basically,
yeah. So Munich's in.
If Madrid loses to Hamburg, then Munich can rest their starters.
They can all rest their starters. The Raiders could too, because the Raiders would be in as well. So.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, they should move the Munich T-roll game to Saturday. I know that's not possible at all, but that the NFL would do that. I know that is not possible before people get pissed.
Yeah, Jamal, this is what I was thinking too. 144-0 in 2 games against Barcelona. Yeah. So,
but Madrid had the opportunity to play Barcelona twice too, right? So, I mean, go put up 144 points. Although I guess it was earlier in the season, so before all that stuff went down, the first game of the year they played Barcelona, right?
I mean, to be honest with you, Madrid. I mean, you could say it's Barcelona or whatever, but really it's Madrid's fault. The game against Paris was in their clutches, and they let it go. You know, like they could have won that game and not had to worry about it, and Paris would be in the situation that Madrid's in right now. So,
well, they controlled their own destiny, and they lost to Frankfurt last week. So, you just can't have it. But it makes me sad. I would have loved to see Madrid in the playoffs because, for how well Munich has been playing, we kind of knew this was going to happen. They haven't really played anybody the last few weeks, right? I mean, looking at their schedule, I would have. I think in Madrid getting in over Munich would be a better playoff. I do. I think they're a better team than Munich overall.
I think they're a better defensive team. I don't think they're a better offensive team.
No. But I think that the Ravens defense has got a lot of holes. So
you score 400 points a game, though. I don't think they really care too much about that.
Yeah, but not against great team. I don't know. I haven't seen them. I need to go look at the schedule again. But when have they played a good team really close?
Oh, I mean, yeah, week 1 they only scored 5 points against the Raiders. So I mean,
right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's just I think Madrid's defense keeps them in games against good teams, whereas Munich, it's tough sledding for them on defense sometimes, and it gets too out of control too quick. Like, like I'm looking at their schedule. I mean, they lost by 2 scores to the Surge. I guess they played T-roll close the last time they played, but I mean, I don't know. You just look at their schedule compared with Madrid. Madrid is way more battle tested. I think Madrid would be a way better playoff team, but it is what it is.
So you mentioned Madrid's defense. I'm glad you mentioned Madrid's defense because now I want to flip this question though and bring it onto Paris because Paris has a top 2, top 3 defense in this league. We've talked about their identity on the offensive side of the ball being basically Zach Edwards and not much else. Zach Edwards and Austin Mitchell and not much else. How much can this Paris defense make a difference to keep Paris in this game, these games, especially against Stuttgart, Rhine, Vienna? Is there any chance, or is the offense just not good enough that it's going to make a difference?
This one's tough because I think while their defense is good, I can't see them keeping games close enough. And the only reason I'd say that is their defense still gives up a lot of points. I mean, look at the Berlin games that they played this year. They've given up 64 points in 2 games to Berlin, if I'm reading that correctly. I know Berlin has a good offense, but they gave up 38 points to Rhine. Madrid, I know they played them twice, but we've talked about how poor the Madrid offense can play. They've given up 25 to Cologne early in the season. I don't know if they have a good enough defense to keep up with or to hold Vienna, Stuttgart, Rheinfire, etc. Those offenses at bay. I think that they have a lot of players all over the place, and I think that they are a scary, scary team. Because if they play a game like they did against Cologne a couple weeks ago, nobody wants to face that Paris team. But I just don't. I don't think they have a good enough defense compared with the other defenses that are going to be in the playoff.
Now I know that these numbers don't all tell the story across the board, but out of the playoff teams that are in there, Paris has given up more points defensively than any other team that's in the playoffs right now. However, I don't know how much of that is incorporated with the points against, how much of that's incorporated for just the defense or just in total. So, I don't know how much that's off turnovers that were returned, special teams plays that were returned, stuff like that. Because I don't think there's an actual specific stat for that that's tracked, at least on the ELF level. But at this point, the points against is higher than any of the other playoff teams, including Madrid, who's on the bubble right now. So I just know that yardage wise, they have one of the better defenses in the league, and I don't know if that's how the ELF tracks it, like the NFL does. You can have the number 1 defense yards wise, but if your red zone percentage is 96%, nobody cares, on the defensive side. So, and yes, Jamal, I agree. The Raiders would be a terrible draw for Paris, and I'll be honest, I think almost any team outside of Munich in the first round is a terrible draw for Paris.
Yeah.
Just going to throw that out there. I just don't know if this offense has enough. That's all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. So, playoff scenario, just to touch base on it one more time. Next week, it looks like Madrid is going to have to beat Hamburg, and Munich will have to beat the Raiders. And Madrid has to score 9 points over what the Raiders scored in that game in order to make the playoffs. What are your chances for Madrid making the playoffs based on that scenario? Because I feel like Munich probably pretty much knows that they're in the playoffs, and there's a chance that they may not go as hard and rest up a little bit.
This one's tough because if Madrid loses, they're obviously out. So I guess you're saying if Madrid wins, what's the chances that they then get in?
You think it's possible? I mean, sure, it's possible.
It depends on. I think it depends on what T-Roll does, obviously. But is T-Roll going to treat, since they're in, are they going to treat this Ravens game like a bye week, essentially? But
that's the thing is they're not in, though.
The Raiders?
The T-Roll's not in. They're the team that could be on the outside looking in.
I keep thinking
Munich technically hasn't clinched, but they've pretty much clinched. Let's be honest. It's less than a 1% chance, like that they're going to get eliminated just based upon the points for. So it's the
But sorry,
Raiders.
you mean if Madrid? Sorry, yeah. So you're saying Madrid wins, then yes, then everybody's probably playing. Everybody has to play their starters because you're not going to leave anything to chance, right? So
except for maybe Munich.
Maybe, yeah.
They're up over 100 points, so I mean,
yeah, which I guess they got nothing to lose. So
unless Madrid blew Hamburg out like 170 to nothing, like I don't see a world where Munich gets eliminated. So
what are the chances then, Jamal? Callum, I know you were on here. Callum, what are the chances then that what are your inside sources saying on Munich resting players?
Well, I mean, Jamal didn't bring up a good point. It is a Central Conference foe. They may want to keep T-Roll out because T-Roll did kind of humiliate him in Week 1, so there could be a revenge factor involved there. Madrid has to blow out Hamburg, and then, that's pretty much what we were just talking about. It's the Raiders and Bravos for the last spot. So,
I mean, I hate to say, T-Roll's not losing a game. I can't see a scenario in which Munich is better than T-Roll. But especially if they're in the playoffs already. So I would put the chances at very slim because T-Roll is going to win against Munich. So at least that's what I think. So yeah, unfortunately for Madrid, I think it's very slim. And what do we put the chances at that, like you said, Madrid's going to go into Hamburg and put up even 50 points, 45 points?
I don't think it's very high. I mean, Hamburg may not be, this might be a perfect feed for Steven Duncan because it's a lower tier team in this world, in this, league or whatever. But I don't really see a world where he leads Madrid to a 50 burger on Hamburg, maybe 40, and then it would just come down to what Munich decides to do, because if Munich does play Munich may want to test themselves too. They may be looking at their schedule going, yeah, you know what? Like, we really haven't faced, top teams. We did not play well against Stuttgart. We did not play well against the Raiders T-Roll in the first week. Maybe we can come in here and eliminate T-Roll and prove that we can hang. That's a possibility too. Looks like the Raiders are 4.5 point favorites, and the over/under set at 67.
I mean, I could see it being 30 to 23, 30 to 28. T-Roll.
I just don't see a world where the Raiders are strong enough offensively to kill or to carry their weight on a 67 over/under. I feel like I would have to take the under in that game if you're a betting man.
Well, then they did put up 45 against the Surge. It's crazy.
This is true. They did. And just they're too run control of an offense.
They are, but they are coming into their own here a little bit as the season ends, right? I mean, them beating the Surge, they're getting hot at the point when you want to get hot. And I know you could say the same about Munich, but T-Roll is actually playing people. They've actually played the Surge, and in this league, I feel like who you play is literally 80% of the battle. What you're scheduling.
And I agree, Munich would definitely get Paris over the Surge. I mean, I would want Paris over the Surge too. So,
what would be interesting though, and I'm getting ahead of myself, a Munich-Paris playoff game might be the best ELF game of all time.
It very possibly could be, for sure. All right. We're going to head into Week 13. We're going to head into our last predictions and previews for the whole league right after we hear from our sponsor, Current.
This is Current. It's the card my parents used to pay me for mowing the lawn, running errands, and doing well in school.
Oh, wow.
This is the card I used when we got the idea to make our own clothes. And we spread the word, drove downtown, and sold everything we made. This is the card I use to do the things that really matter. This is Current. Visit current.com and download the app for free today.
Welcome back from our Current commercial. Thank you for Current being our sponsor. Make sure you hit them up. Use our code. It's a great product. Go use it. Also, while you're at it, hit up our unofficial sponsor in ckcustoms.com as well. Hey, Brady, I told you I'm going to plug it. Everything. By the way, how is the wife?
She's good. She's good. We all got over some COVID, so that's fun.
Yeah.
And then she's been crushing. It's busy season for her with the CK's Customs going into football season, so she's working her tail off. But she's got a lot of good opportunities. She just got she just did a bunch of gear for Mac Jones's girlfriend.
Nice.
So that's kind of cool.
I haven't heard her little giggle in the background, so I'm not sure if she's even around.
She's in the other room. I told her to come in here when but she's working. She is working away back there. She's got the sweatshop going. So
well, we got one unofficial producer here. Apparently, there are some questions internally about the surge and how healthy their players are. I know Riley Hennessy didn't look the best coming off that injury. I know they scored 56, but it was against Barcelona, so maybe they kind of needed that little bit of an outlet there. And all right, Jamal, you said big question for me before the picks. So what's the question, my man? Let's do it before we get into our last picks of the regular season, man. This is crazy. Wind it down. Week 0 CFB start week this week. Does FSU cover the 10.5 versus Georgia Tech? And do I trust DJU at quarterback? Look, as a Florida State fan, basically what this boils down to is I trust Mike Norvell at the head coach. If Mike Norvell sees something in DJU enough to make him the starter, make him the face of this team, especially with coming off of Jordan Travis. Like, think about it. Jordan Travis was probably the most beloved Florida State quarterback ever. And I'm talking about Charlie Ward played there. And Jameis Winston played there. Like, he's probably the most beloved FSU quarterback ever. DJU turned it around at Oregon State. Now, granted, Pac-12 didn't really play a ton of defense. I think the team overall, though, is really, really good. Mike Norvell has done a fantastic job using the transfer portal to his benefit. He did it again this year. He stole at least 7 players from Alabama with the Nick Saban situation. So the team has definitely got some talent there. And Marvin Jones, a big edge rusher from Georgia, which it's the second time he's flipped an edge rusher from Georgia with Jermaine Johnson. I don't think Georgia Tech is there talent-wise, so I think I would take them to cover the 10.5. And I do trust DJU at quarterback. It's hard to say that because of some down years, but that's the thing. And I am not highlighting the other comment that you put underneath because they don't deserve my time. So, no offense, Jamal. I love you. Nothing but love, man.
And it's really cool that Florida State has a quarterback collecting Social Security already, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think it's like his 6th year in the league, thanks to the COVID year. So, I mean, to be honest with you, though, they had Chris Winkie, who was collecting Social Security when he became a freshman. So
that's true. That's true. Hey, I was 23 when I graduated college as well. So.
Oh, Chris Winkie was like 29 when he graduated college. So.
Yeah, isn't DJ 23? I think he's
DJ's 23. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he'll be 23 when he's done, graduating, whatever it may be. So.
Yeah.
Maybe 24, to be honest with you. But I don't think age matters as much for quarterbacks. No, at least when it comes to NFL talent, scouting-wise, because you kind of want those guys that might be a little bit older because they're a little more NFL ready, So that is one thing. That is one thing I will say that's good to have DJU is you got the experience.
Yeah.
There as well. Speaking of which, Jamal, I don't know if you heard this story, or Randy, if you heard this story real quick. Delaware State missed their 10.5-hour flight today because of a bus snafu. So they are playing Hawaii in week 1. It's a East Coast team traveling to Hawaii to play. You know what time kickoff is for the Eastern side of the 11:59 Eastern p.m. And they're supposed to fly to Hawaii, and they missed their first flight. You ever want to watch zombies play football? Watch Delaware State Hawaii this Saturday night at 11:59.
So Saturday night. So they left today. They'll leave tomorrow, I guess.
Whatever the next flight is to Hawaii, I'm sure that they'll jump on. But
what's the spread for that game?
There is no spread. I can't find it anywhere. I haven't been able to find
Where
it.
are they playing? Kennesaw State?
Delaware State. It's an FCS school, so yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. ESPN bet had, they usually have the bets on the bottom, but they didn't have it for this one. So I didn't look at the DraftKings yet. So
Hawaii's a 38.5-point favorite. Now that was a day ago. So the line might have moved because of this story. But yeah,
it's possible. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, to be honest with you, as high-powered as that offense is, they have a hell of a wide receiver out there, too, that everybody should know about. Polifi Ashlock, sophomore. Dude is a friggin' stud. I wish that he didn't play in Hawaii so he could get more exposure, but dude is legit, man. It's fun watching him play. So, all right, college football, this is a different time for it. Season's upon us, by the way, folks. Yeah. This weekend's week 0.
Crazy.
But, hey, I love me some college football, man. I could do a whole college football show, but I already have so many shows that I don't even know if I could find a host as good as Randy. So,
thank you. That's not hard. That's not hard to do at all.
Oh, you're being
crazy time. We got college football. I think every weekend till freaking middle of January now. And is this the first year with
12 teams
expansion?
Yep.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yep.
NFL football. I just went to the Panthers preseason game Saturday night. Preseason football is tough to watch, but it was at the game, and so we got football all the way to February now, and then we got the ELF starting up again 3 months later. So
exactly. Well, and then on top of that, you got the UFL. If you decide to watch the UFL, it's shortly after that. What I will say real quick is, I don't know how you feel or how Jamal feels about this, and we don't have to spend too much time with it because obviously this is the ELF show, but
the election.
No. No. The NFL has a quarterback development problem. They have a QB development problem in the sense of, if you take a look at the CFL, right, and you take a look at the amount of time that is invested in some of these quarterbacks, the quarterback play for CFL football is fantastic pretty much across the board for almost every team, with guys that have been there for X amount of years, right? Like, a lot of guys built into the role. Like, you look at Calgary with Jake Mayer. Mayer's having a great season this year. The NFL would have taken Jake Mayer and spit him out after a year, and they would have drafted somebody else.
Yep.
And if they didn't, they would give him 2 years, and if he was somewhat mediocre behind a terrible offensive line, they would blame him completely. And I primarily focus on this because Justin Fields, for all intents and purposes, and I'm not a huge Ohio State quarterback fan, but should have been able to lead Chicago to several winning seasons. But dysfunction at the coaching side of things, no real weapons, and they never invested in him. It should piss Bears fans off seeing what they did this year for Caleb. But how long is Caleb going to have if they go out and win 6 games? So I just wanted to mention that. I think there's an NFL developmental quarterback problem. I don't know how you feel about it, but
I think that if I really get deep into this conversation, that there's a cultural problem of being impatient and wanting things now. And I know I sound like an old man saying that, but it's true. Especially when you look at the NFL, it's such a short window now that these quarterbacks, and then you go above them, the GM, the OC, and the head coaches are such on short leashes from ownership that there is no time at all. I mean, I'm a Panthers fan, so I've seen about 47 head coaches come and go between the time that Tepper took over. And it's just crazy. You need at least, I mean, look at what the Packers do consistently at the quarterback position because they're patient. They develop. They let someone sit for 3 years. And it's a cultural problem where we want immediate success, immediate gratification, and we don't want to wait for it, and we don't want to put in the work to develop it. But I get it. These coaches are under tremendous stress, and the GM, because they have to have success now or they're gone.
Yeah. I'll even go a step further. There's some Panthers fans, and fans are just as much to blame for this as it is anything else. Already calling for Bryce Young's head. And David Tepper is a terrible owner. He's a terrible owner. He's the worst owner in the league now that Dan Snyder's gone. Like, I feel you down there. I really empathize with you because I know what it's like to have a terrible owner. But to call for Bryce Young's head, even if you weren't a fan of his coming out, already after a year is ridiculous considering what you saw that team go through last year.
His best target was, in my opinion, probably a number 3 or number 4 receiver on any other team, Adam Thielen. And I'm not saying Adam Thielen's bad, but I'm saying he's very overrated for where he's at now in his career. And even at the top pinnacle of his career, he was still a solid number 2. And he is throwing to nobody. He has nobody blocking for him. And he's also about the size of my daughter, who's 8 months old.
Yeah.
So I get it. I'm watching him. I mean, it is crazy, watching him on the sideline. And I mean, I'm only 6 foot tall. So, but he's, I think, 5'9", 5'10", but he looks like someone's kid is out on the field. Yeah. So it does look weird, him with everybody, but that's a different thing. So I hope that it works out for a fellow short quarterback. But it's just I wish that they'd give they need to give Bryce, and they didn't have any first round picks this year because they traded the farm for Bryce Young. So we need to give him at least 3 years.
They did trade up from 33 to 32. I mean,
right. Sorry, yeah, my bad. To get our receiver, but yeah, it's I hope they give him some time. I hope they give him at least 2 more years, this season and next, to see what we got.
Yeah. I will say, as far as talent is concerned, I do love Xavier Legette, and I do love Jonathan Mingo. I think Mingo will be okay. I just think that he just struggled with a terrible coaching staff last year. So hopefully this coaching staff gives him a chance. All right. Enough about the NFL. Enough about the NFL. No, yeah. I wanted to bring it up because it reminds me of the ELF, because we talk about how there's short leashes in the ELF because they only have 1-year contracts, right? So you got to win now. The NFL on the other side, they don't do that. Most rookie quarterbacks sign a 4-year deal. There's no reason for you to have to panic after year 1. With that being said, let's jump right into a quarterback that I think should be coming back to the ELF next year. Isaiah Weed and Cologne Centurions, they traveled to Vierfar to take on the Enthroners to close out the year. 500 on the horizon for the Centurions, Randy?
That'd be sweet. Maybe 63. I'll go 63 to 3. 63 to 3. Come on.
I meant win percentage wise, but sure. Yeah, that works. Oh. They're 5-6, so
500 points doesn't seem that unrealistic for this Cologne team. Hey, I would love to see them get to 500. I think that's probably higher than more wins than anybody probably had at the beginning of the season, or especially after the first couple weeks for them. So yes, I think that they win big. Like I said, 60, 50 plus to in Fairvar.
Yeah, I think this is going to be kind of a lopsided game. I'm happy for Cologne. I think that if you take a look at this team, you end up 6-6 at the end of the year. You have to view that as a success for how it started for you this year. Jamal, if you want to get in on the scores in this one as well, you're more than welcome to. I think this one's going to probably be like 55-12. Robitaille is still one of my favorite wide receivers that nobody's really talking about because he's on a pretty bad team, but no offense to Fierfar at all by any means, but they're not ready yet. Hopefully Robitaille comes back and maybe we'll see him in a different uniform next year. So
And we can do a whole preview for next year, but I do love the development in Fairvar. I don't think they're going anywhere. I know there's a lot of rumors
I hope
whether or
they
not
don't.
they'll be back next year. They're just a couple years away. It's football in Hungary. It's not as developed as Germany, and I love to see. I mean, whenever they kind of show you a shot of the fans, it's the opposite of Prague, right? Prague is a horrible team that has 12 people at games, and I mean, there's consistently 1,000 plus at these Fairvar games when they know they're going to lose by 60 points. So I think that they have something to build on for next season in Fairvar.
I will say that the ELF has partnered with the Croatian American Football Association. It was announced today, so to hopefully elevate the sport in Croatia. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I like.
there's a game, the Madrid. I know we can talk about that next probably, but the Madrid Hamburg game is in Croatia.
Yeah. I'm excited to see them branching away and giving some of these other countries an opportunity and chance. So I will have to say about that. We'll see what happens with the partnership. Don't know what it's going to do. Don't know what it's going to actually benefit across the board, but fingers crossed that it benefits into something worthwhile for both Croatia and the ELF, right? Like that's what you like to see with the partnership, right? Madrid at Hamburg, second game of the slate this weekend. Madrid they're there. Do they beat Hamburg?
I think that this is essentially at a neutral site, in Croatia. I think that um, I don't know if the news is out yet. So I started talking, and then there's some coaching situations. I don't know if this has been announced, so I got to be really careful. I just started saying it. Madrid might have some coaching shakeup, so I don't know how that goes into this week, and it will be public, I'm sure, soon. But they yeah, I don't know how they handle that situation, but I think they'll be fine, in all honesty. And I think that they beat Hamburg in Croatia in the first international series game of the
Yeah.
ELF, which is pretty cool. So give me Madrid. I do think they put up a good amount of points here. Let's go Madrid 30 and Hamburg 20.
So we do know that Madrid needs points. We do know that Hamburg can be a tough out at times. We do know that Stephen Duncan loves facing teams that are 2-9. So I think Madrid wins this one. I think there's some urgency. If they get to 45, like Jamal says, I don't know if they're going to want to stop. However, 38 is where I think the cutoff is for them. I think it's going to be 38 to 18. 20-point victory. That's where I'll go with that. I'm not writing these down this week just because it's pretty well wiped out. So it's the last week of the year. So, and I didn't keep track of win-loss for some reason. I don't know why the hell I didn't do that. So I can't even tell you what my win-loss is. So
Next season we'll have a whole thing.
next season we'll have it all set up and we'll revisit it as the year goes on as well. Stuttgart taking on Helvetic. Hey Jamal, is Helvetic going to cover?
What's the I hate betting on games for the last game of the year. You just have no clue.
Well, Stuttgart is playing for a first round bye still.
Yeah, and if they're up by any amount, I would rest Riley Hennessy at half.
So, if I am correct, I believe right now as it sits, it is Stuttgart in the position of the bye.
Let me double check.
No.
Yeah, I think because of
not yet. Rhine has 11 wins, but if Stuttgart wins this game, they will be the first round bye. So they are going to need to win this game to secure that first round bye. So they may go hard for the first half, but I agree. I mean, you got to go up big early. Do they do that against Helvetic?
Yes. I think they win. Yes. I think they win 41-9.
Did you say 41-9?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a scoregami. 41-9. It feels like it's not though. That's crazy. Stuttgart beats Helvetic pretty handily in this game. I think. I think they hit a 40 burger, 44-15. I'll just go with some random 5 field goals for Helvetic. Kicking's on point for week 13.
Jamal, oh, there we go. I was going to say Jamal dropped off.
Yeah, right there. He says they cover. They lose by 8.
Boy. Are we going to have to do more? Jamal, I don't want you to have to do more push-ups, man.
Hey, I mean, you guys are 1-1. I'm not to egg that on or anything, but
yeah, what is the what's the spread? What's the spread for this game? Jamal could make anything up too, and I'd be like, sounds good to me.
Yeah, right. The spread is 55 points.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go. And Jeremy had chess.
I actually don't know if that's the spread or not.
I bet you the spread 31 sounds right. 31 and a half.
31 and a half.
Yeah. That's a Vegas line right there.
That is
31 and a half over under at 73. That's high.
At
68.
Oh, okay. Question for you for the next game. Let's see. First and foremost, I just want to take a look at this. 0-0-7 and 0-0-0. So, in the last 6 games, Barcelona has scored 7 points. Okay. The last time they scored more than 7 in a game was against Milano, when Milano beat them 27-18. The question I have for you is, this week with them playing each other, does Barcelona find the end zone?
Oh, that's a good question. Man, I hope so.
I hope so too. I think that these players deserve it.
Yeah, man. Man, they did score against the Surge, so that's something. This is tricky. I don't know. I do think they lose by 2+ scores, but let's go Milano 28, 33, and Barcelona, I'll give them 6. We'll go they
6.
scored 1 touchdown.
Okay. And Jamal, to be fair, though, Helvetic lost to Barcelona before all the problems with Barcelona happened.
Yeah.
Like that, both games were before the Levi Lewis situations and everything else. So you can't be that upset about it, because that team was still a scoring team at least. So yeah, man, I don't know. Milano 34, Barcelona 12. I'm gonna give them 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
I'll give Barcelona 2 touchdowns in this game. 34-12, Milano.
Okay.
Frankfurt, they upset Barcelona 2 weeks ago. They're at home against Paris, who's going on their 5th road game in 6 games. Is it possible there's another upset on the horizon here, with Paris already locked into the playoffs?
This one will be interesting. This is actually, I think, going to be a good game. And it depends on if Paris wants to treat this like a bye week. Now, I think that Paris wants, I don't know. I don't know if Paris really cares what seed they are here. Either way, it's a tough out. Give me, I can't see Paris. I don't know. I can't see Paris resting their starters. I think you'd want to go into the postseason playing your guys. But give me. This is tough. Give me Paris 24, and Frankfurt 16.
Wow, low scoring. Taking the under on that one, I imagine.
Yeah, that was tough. I don't know. Where are you going on this?
I mean, they are playing for a home game, like Jamal just said.
It's true.
Frankfurt, though, man.
They like to play the spoiler. And it's another road game for Paris in the last 7 weeks or so.
Yeah, it's 5 in the last 6 that they've been on the road. So,
yeah.
I'm gonna say Paris 29, Frankfurt 26. 3-point game. Maybe another late game heroic for Zach Edwards.
Is Frankfurt? Oh, that changed everything. Jamal, Frankfurt's quarterback is out. McKay's out this game. I didn't realize that.
Oh,
I knew he got hurt against Warclaw, I think, but
yeah, I saw that he was out, but I didn't know if it was so. Yeah, that does kind of change things a little bit.
That changed everything. Give me Paris 34, Frankfurt 12.
Yeah, 32-14.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, broken leg.
Oh.
That's too
I
bad.
was trying to see what happened. I couldn't see anything.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything either, so.
That sounds bad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Warclaw travels to Prague. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing. There's no preview to that. It's just Warclaw travels to Prague.
Warclaw. Give me Warclaw by 25 points. We go Warclaw 41 to Prague's 16.
I don't know if Prague scores 16.
Yeah, it's a lot of points for Prague.
48 to 6. Wow. Yeah. Okay. 48 to 6. So. Oh, and the big one. The last one of the week. The Raiders T-roll at Munich for Madrid and the T-rolls playoff future. Hey! There
Sorry,
she is. Oh, look.
All right, who you got? Raiders, Ravens.
She likes the Raiders, right? That's her.
Yeah, I don't mind them.
Yeah. I lost to them twice in my career. So it was fun.
Raiders, Ravens, where is it?
In Munich.
In Munich. And it is for playoff spots, pretty much.
The Raiders have a little more to play for here than the Ravens do.
Hey, Randy.
The Raiders win and they're in.
There it is, Randy. He says Munich. Here's the deal breaker, the rubber match. Because you know you're going T-roll.
Yeah, 100%. But I don't want to influence her pick. All right, I'll go. T-roll wins by 2 scores. I'm gonna go T-roll 34, Munich 20.
Oh, you're not even close.
No, I do not believe in Munich at all.
Not supporting Sean at all.
I love Sean. I like Chad Jeffries. I like everybody over there. They haven't played anybody. The Raiders need to win, and they're in. Yeah, give me the Raiders by 2 scores.
I don't know.
So, what's the push-up bet, Jamal?
Yeah, what's
point differential
point
again?
differential? Yeah, we can do point differential.
Are you gonna double it this time?
Are you gonna double it this time, Randy?
I'll double it.
Oh, look at that. He's gonna double it. Jamal, you down for doubling it? I'm picking Munich too.
Really?
I think Munich. I think
have
Munich.
To pick trio.
You don't have to.
2 and 2.
I think Munich is going to play spoiler, and they're going to try to keep the T-roll Raiders out of the playoffs. So, if Madrid beats Hamburg, I think that's going to be the deciding factor. If Madrid beats Hamburg, because I don't think Munich wants to play T-roll in the playoffs. So I think they're going to come out here and try to set the tone early and make a difference. However, I do think it's going to be a close game.
So if Munich wins, wait,
Okay, we went into this whole thing. It's
Are they
it's
both
very
in?
confusing. But
So-
Munich
so-
is basically in.
So what happens is if Madrid beats Hamburg and outscores the Raiders by 9, Madrid gets in if the Raiders lose. Munich's basically in because their points for is significantly higher than the other two teams.
okay.
So they pretty
The
much
Raiders-
are in.
The Raiders, yeah, Munich is in. The Raiders are basically in if Madrid loses, but then Madrid winning shakes everything up a little bit.
Yeah.
They have to. T-Roll has to win.
Wait, we are forgetting something.
What?
I don't know.
Oh, Jamal.
Oh, what are we forgetting, Jamal?
What are we forgetting?
What are we forgetting? There can't be something we're forgetting. He's yelling at us too. That's a lot of capital letters. And by the way, my score was 38-34. I think it's going to be a close one.
What's your score? You haven't given your score yet.
Yeah.
I said Raiders. Wait, hold on.
If and when the Surge win, we most likely get a 2 seed, which means Fire are the 3 seed. Yes. Actually, you might have stepped away. You might have stepped away, Jamal, when we talked about that. Actually, the Surge need to win, and they're going to be the 2 seed. So
Have the Fire ever been that low of a seed? I feel like that's second.
Well, the first year they were in, they didn't make the playoffs.
So 1 and
but-
2 get a bye.
Yeah.
Yep. just like the NFL.
Okay, I have to give you the score.
You gotta get a score.
They usually
34-28.
T-roll?
T-roll.
I like that score too.
Yeah, of course you do. the Schrader family going with the Schrader family going with the Raiders T-roll in the playoff. Yeah, nobody wants the Fire. Of course, nobody wants Ryan.
Are we
I mean, I wouldn't want to play Ryan as a 3 seed. That's
doubling
start.
the push-up bet here? 'Cause I
Yeah,
will
he said
Okay.
bet. He said
Okay.
bet.
All right.
He even
I'll
threw
do
up
it
the.
with you.
Really? Wow.
Oh,
Michael.
What?
Michael.
Aubrey
Uh,
did the
You're the only
last
one not
time.
doing it.
no, because I'm not the one. Because I'm not the one making the bet.
Michael's like, I don't make stupid bets.
I don't make dumb bets like that. I
Brendan even had our daughter doing push-ups last time.
the only game that I'm confident in is Barcelona losing. So I mean, if we want to make a bet on that one, then I won't
And
have
they
to do
play
the push-ups.
Milano. They could win.
No, they can't, Brandy. They cannot win.
I'm just saying they could.
Yeah,
Any given-
I
any-
might be a French model.
Given
Oui, oui.
Saturday, Sunday.
I don't
Dude, I
think
saw the opening ceremonies. All right, we might have some
Hey,
French models in this room.
that's very possible too.
We all
Shady-
need French models after that.
Oh, so yeah, the Shady Sports. Yeah, see the Shady Sports Network workout plan hosted by Big Mike.
There we go. I feel like you could really rep out some push-ups. I don't know why. I just feel like you just would get down like I got 100 easy push-ups.
I mean, back in the day, for sure. I don't know how much I could do now. It's been a while, but I could probably bang out a couple. But
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to embarrass you guys. But yeah, push-ups, double it, Jamal. It sounds good.
Was
Hopefully,
this your last pick?
yeah.
that was the last pick. Yeah,
I came in for a good one.
Yeah,
You
this is
did-
the
that
this
was
is the
a-
game.
This
that's the
week,
big game of this week.
Well, the two games that matter are
Oh, because nobody else matters. Because it's
the
playoffs.
Croatian game and the
Who
Raiders,
plays in Croatia?
Hamburg, and Madrid.
Hamburg's home game.
Yeah. Didn't
And
they know
Hamburg, Croatia.
how many tickets have they sold?
That's a good question.
That's a legit good question. I don't know. Yeah, Jamal did say ×2. By the way, he did
Okay.
confirm it. Unless he was just talking about the comic book character, but I'm pretty sure he said it's ×2 is fine. So, while Randy looks up how many tickets have been sold,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
take
what
the
I'm
time.
doing.
I'm going to take the time to thank Current, our sponsor. Thanks Shady Sports and Sam for giving us a platform to talk about ELF. Thanks to Athletes Forum, aka Jamal, my unofficial producer. Go hit him up. Follow him, like him, hit the little dingy so you get the notifications. I want to give a shout out to my unofficial sponsor, ckcustoms.com. Go hit her up. Make sure you support the family business over there because she is grinding. What did you compare it to, Randy? Something about a sweatshop earlier that she's busting out right now. So,
Let's shop rolling.
putting the baby to work already, right?
That's right.
Yeah, teaching her how to put rhinestones on and stuff, right?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. So, Randy, do you want to shout out anybody?
Check out CK's Customs. She makes some awesome stuff. And shout out Michael Washington, Jamal, for having me on again. Thank you very much. Thank you to our producer, Jamal, and Michael. Thank you,
Jamal
as always.
said, "Go Pack."
Go Pack.
Go Pack. They play next Thursday.
Yep.
Go Pack. Are you a Packers fan?
I'm an NC State fan.
Oh, right. That's right. I forgot about that. At least you're not a Gators fan.
Nah, I like the SEC, but
I just wait for Jamal to answer because he's a Gators fan. So.
No,
Jamal said they haven't sold enough if they haven't announced. That's right. There's no social media thing that's like
very, very true.
We've sold 10,000.
I'm trying to also look it up online. I can't find anything. I can't even really find where to buy tickets. So not a good sign. But maybe don't have a game in Croatia.
Good night. I have to go back to work.
All right, have fun.
Hey, Florida State plays North Carolina State. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm a Florida State fan.
I like the that's the game.
The Tama. You just did the game. Wow, just offended all of Florida State and Tallahassee right there.
Sorry. I respect Florida State. I like them.
Yeah, I don't mind North Carolina State.
Are they coming back? Because they had a plummet for a little while.
Oh, they were undefeated last year.
They should have made the playoffs last year. Their quarterback didn't break their leg.
I know, but he broke his leg and they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking. See, and maybe we can get a Florida State. We can get an ELF Summer Showcase show live at North Carolina State University.
That would be next Thursday night.
Are you going?
I don't know. We haven't decided. I think I'm going. We don't know if Randy's going.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway,
who they play next Thursday?
Western Carolina.
Oh,
that's why I don't know if I'm going.
Yeah. I don't blame you at all on that one. So.
Yeah.
Well, anyways,
someone's got to watch the baby. Someone's got to watch the baby.
Yeah, you can watch the baby. Let her have a night out.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much for, as always, Michael, having me on. This has been a lot of fun. I know it's winding down, which is crazy that we're here at the last week. So thank you for always having me on.
Well, we will be here through the playoffs, and we will be here for a championship game as well. Randy will hopefully be able to join us as well, because basically right now it's him and me, because Bryce is in practice. So
yeah.
So I mean,
Bryce,
JUCO ball.
That's right.
Go do it, Bryce.
I was there too. I was there back in the day.
For sure. Bye, Caroline. Have a good night.
Bye.
And that's going to do it for us here at Summer Showcase this week. We will be back next week to head up week one of the playoffs as well. And in that case, college football's around the corner, NFL's around the corner, ELF's winding down, but hopefully you're going to be here with us for the playoffs in the championship game. Until next week, he's Randy. I'm Michael. Have a good night.